What is up, everybody? Welcome back to our YouTube channel. You are, of course, hanging out with the realest
OG in the building right here. And I'm chilling out with my main man,
Aaron Mumuri mwenyewe
the
pia.
one and only.
Kama kawaida.
Kama kawaida
Kama
bana.
dawa, eh?
Yeah, kama dawa bana. It's another day, manze.
How have you been?
Nimekuwa salama mimi. Nashukuru bana. Of course, look forward to hii day, manze. Kukaa chini kupiga show. Tunaendelea consistency kidogo. Episode 21. 21 bana. Tunasonga.
Choki bana. Are you serious?
Miss Choki bana. It's choki. Tugonge kaso, tu relax kiasi, tuendelee. Yeah, hii ni marathon bana.
Okay. Very good to hear.
But I'm loving the progress. We're just moving on pole. The consistency.
It's been a minute, eh?
Yeah, it's actually been a minute since the last time we recorded. Because guys, actually, mnaweza kuamkiona videos every now and then. But sometimes we just, take some time off and then, tunapumua kidogo.
Tunaensure kuna ka-stock.
Yeah. Tunaensure kuna ka-stock ka wiki kadhaa. And then tunarudi tunashoot saa. Yeah.
Very good.
So when we say it's been a minute, we actually mean it like...
Yeah, it has been.
It has been a while.
Time.
Yeah. So before we even get to the video, by the way, I have a question for you. It's a simple question.
Okay. Before I ulize kwanza pia mimi niko sawa. You don't even want to know how I'm doing.
Oh,
but I catch you short when you're saying it's another beautiful day. So Paul.
Sorry by the way. So how have you been though?
I've been okay. Nimekuwa nikisukuma kama kawaida. I was also looking forward to another episode. Nimekuwa nakaa kula sasa. Ikuwa nini lini? But I'm glad it's gotten to this point.
Yeah.
2-1. Unajua by then you count. I don't count. Mimi nafikaga tu.
Me I keep count.
Nafikaga tu scene na nasema tuchape hii kitu.
I keep count, and part of the reason why I keep count, I'll actually talk about it as we talk about the nini of the day.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Hey!
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So, to my question.
Okay.
If there's one thing that you would like to know the absolute truth about, if there's one question that you would love to know the absolute truth to, what would it be? That question.
Absolute truth.
Yeah.
Where?
Like, as in, if maybe there's one question that it disturbs you and you're like, I would really love to know, like, ukweli ni gani? Like, ukweli ni gani? See, yes.
Hey, that's a really good question.
Actually, even guys can actually, if you
also share
your questions. Yeah.
But that's interesting. I've never thought about it. Okay, I've thought about real questions that probably I know would keep me up at night, but I haven't really thought about what it would mean for me to get the absolute answer, as in the where.
Oh yeah, baby.
Okay, I have a couple of questions.
The most, like, I would say, like,
as in I get the absolute truth.
Yeah.
Okay, I think currently the one that's coming to my mind is in a simulation.
Okay.
It would be interesting to find out.
Funny enough, even as I was thinking of asking this question, I also thought about that. Like, but they,
in a
simulation.
With the advancements and all the how far we've come, it's getting really blurry. As
True.
in, I like to think I'd like to think of the people who came before us. It would be easier for them to just say, no, we're creatures, and all that.
Yeah.
But for us, as in with all the things that have happened, all the things we've been able to do, as in the farther that technology has brought us, and we have brought technology.
Yeah.
I'm really thinking we're in a simulation, man.
Yeah,
probably
maybe.
Probably these are just holograms, they're just projections. Tumekaa labda tumeplagiwa macables kama tisa. thinking of the Matrix hapa, yeah, but
By the way,
and it's not that it would even add value to my life. Okay, it's just an interesting question to have an answer to. But for me, that's the answer I would get to if I needed an answer. But me, genuinely, I'd be okay without having any absolute answer.
Okay. So
What
I think
about you?
for me, I also have a couple, but I think these two.
Two, it has to be one. My friend always in there moja na utoe mbili.
Okay, sawa.
Wait, how come umefikiria kitu as you're asking?
No, I had thought about it, but
I'm
I'm just debating between the two which one is more pressing. Sawa, but let me go with.
Now we'll also have to listen to the second one.
But if I tell you the first one, you'll obviously be able to see where my mind is going, and then you'll think of the second one. Okay. So I think the one that I'll go with is what really happens to us when we die. Like honestly, like the absolute truth, like what really happens. Because whatever we currently think will happen, whatever maybe religion tells us will happen, everyone has their own career. Yeah, there's what we believe, what other people believe, what other groups believe, and things like that. But I would really love to know the absolute truth, what really happens when we die.
It's interesting that both our minds have gone to existential
questions.
I know. Nafikiria hapa tukikufa will first share your second.
But even the one for simulation that you said, it actually crossed my mind, because I was like, by the way.
Because again, if you're in a simulation, your concept of death is probably you're being disconnected.
Exactly, you're being disconnected. And to my second question, second question would be like the beginning of it all,
what happened?
Yeah.
As in, how did it all start?
Yes, how did it all start? Of course, there are so many theories. There's the creation theory, the Big Bang theory, all these theories. But I would really love to know the absolute truth. What?
Really?
The beginning, and at the beginning, what was really there?
But I think do you think if we had the answers to those, the absolute answers, we'd be creators? Because with that knowledge, it means, okay, with the right amount of effort, I think
you're right. With that kind of knowledge, yes. By there, I think you're right. I actually hadn't even thought about it like that. With that kind of knowledge.
Because this is what...
Okay. Yes. By the
okay, yeah.
And I think maybe that's part of the reason why we don't have that knowledge, because then...
okay.
Yeah.
But I think we're getting closer and closer.
But like you're saying, all those nini are related. The beginning, are we in a simulation, and the end, they're sort of if I may call them different sides of maybe the same object that we are looking at. So maybe me, I'm looking at, if it's a vehicle, I'm looking at the front, someone else
bonnet,
is looking at
the roof, or at the ceiling, whatever.
But we're all looking at this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's probably, if a paragraph was the answer, those would be just part of the questions of the verb.
Exactly.
Okay.
So anyway, by that was okay. You guys, you can just think about it. Tell us down there in the comments what you think about. Please share your thoughts.
Okay. Yeah.
So to today's topic, it's goal setting. Goal setting and sort of achievement. So goal setting and achievement, but I think we'll just focus mostly on goal setting and see where that leads us.
It's goal setting and achievements.
Yes, but I have a feeling that we will focus
on goal setting.
Then maybe we'll just come and say achievement, we didn't quite tackle it well. We'll talk about it in another video and things like that. But anyway, we'll just try and sort of address the two as we move on.
Okay, not a problem.
Just to be clear, I just want to read what something I found here defining what goal setting is. And it says, goal setting involves the development of an action plan designed in order to motivate and guide a person or group towards a goal. I think, yes.
An action plan?
Development of an action plan
Mm-hmm.
designed in order to motivate and guide a person or group towards a goal. So it's basically sort of like you may think of it like a map, like yeah, I don't know. So like I want to get to this place, point B. I'm at A, point B. So goal setting is basically that map. I don't know if I'm just trying to like
It makes sense.
put together
What
an
you're saying
analogy
makes a
that
lot of
sort of like
sense.
explains
That
it.
sort of explains.
Yeah. So so the action plan, like, these are the things that I'll do when I get to, this step, this step, this step, and then eventually all those steps will lead to point B, which is the goal that I'm trying to get to. I don't know if that's
It does. It makes a lot of sense. And okay, I'm also trying to think of goal setting as probably one of the tools. Again, we from previous episodes and all that, one of the tools that will help us to be the person we intend to be, right?
Yes.
Because of course that's what we're trying to do here, right?
Yeah,
We're trying to build the I don't want to say perfect, but as close to perfect as possible,
yeah,
or someone who is comfortable with who they have become.
Yeah.
Goal setting is one that if I want to become that person, there are some things, or I have to decide on what is important to me, right? As you've mentioned that you will have to, you've chosen that that's where I want to be, and I'd liken that's where I want to be to whatever you will choose as being important to you, right?
Yes.
Then once you've chosen what's important to you, you have to decide, okay, if that's important to me, this is what I'll do to probably get to that whatever important, or this is what I will do to affirm that it's important to me. I think that's the
hiyo umeiweka tu vizuri. Actually hata siwezi add anything hapo.
so
But yes.
So that is goal setting.
Yeah.
I think with that, it is clear that if you want to become better and you're not talking about goal setting, you will be at a loss at some point, right?
Yes.
First of all,
So
we can agree,
to
right?
actually get better, you need to think
Set
about
some goals.
Yes. Yeah.
Whether you like it or not,
Yes.
whether it's intentional or intentional.
Yeah.
Okay, so now probably the conversation we might need to have is how do you set goals? What do you need to do to set goals, right?
Which is part of what now we'll be talking about. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, goal setting. Why actually with all that we've described there? Why do you think goal setting is important? Why do we need to set goals? But I think you've sort of like answered that.
I've answered it partially.
Yeah, partially.
Right. I've answered it partially. But yes, added now to that entire verbose.
Yeah.
Whatever I've said, I think without a vision, again, you are at a loss as an individual.
Yeah.
That okay, I'm saying a vision because I'm saying already we've chosen that these are the things we need to get to, or these are the things that we've decided are important to us. Yeah,
True.
And we're representing that as our vision.
Yeah.
If you are operating at I do not know what I want to be, or I do not know where I need to be, you are at a loss, because the faster you start to act on whatever you need to get to, or whatever you've decided that is important to you, the closer you can get to it, even though probably you might not get there, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is the fact that as a 45-year-old, I decide that I want to be a billionaire. If I decide that I will put the measures when I'm at 45 years old, I'm at a loss than if I decided at 15 that I want to be a billionaire, right?
True.
That again, we've agreed that time is a limited resource.
Yeah.
So the sooner you decide, the sooner you start just deciding, sooner you start making the specific plans to get you to wherever you need to be, the better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think that's the most important reason why you might need to at least have some goals. I don't know for you what you...
Yeah, I think I agree. And I like, there's a word there that you use, vision. Because I think when you have that vision, that, you like saying this is modeling. We're trying to model
yeah.
let us just use that word, perfect.
Perfect person.
Yes. So for you to actually get there, you have to know how to get there. So I think goal setting are like we've said, all these steps that are getting you there. It's important because it's sort of like it's like the roadmap to that perfect person that you want to become. Or the roadmap to that vision of maybe a better person, better life,
better whatever you intend to
exactly
have, as in a better position, better what exact. I think as you're mentioning a roadmap, it's very clear that if you do not once you've decided that these are the things that I need to get or acquire, these are the things I need to be. If you do not sit down and just take some time to say that for me to get there, I need to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, then it will be very difficult to get there for you.
So goal setting makes it easier, makes the journey sort of like easier, because things are clear.
I wouldn't say easier, but I would say it gives you clarity on what you... Okay, but I don't know if it makes sense. It gives you clarity on what you might need to do. If now I'm looking at myself, probably if let me take the example of I wanted to be an IT professional. So I'm looking at now the historic, as in past me. Haron at 15 is saying I want to be an IT profession. Part of the challenge of being an IT professional is I'll have to just chew IT books, right? Doesn't make it easier if I sit down and say, hey, within this time, I will need to read X and Y books, right? I've just noted that at some point, I need to get some resource, which is the books, right? Now I'm looking at if I set my goals, I would obviously have plans. Obviously have plans like, I need to, first of all, if I'm an IT profession, I need to at least have a computer so I'm able to do whatever. I need to now do some research, do some studying. I need to have access. I need to have colleagues, right? I've done that roadmap, as you've rightly mentioned. I've generated that roadmap, but still, I will still have to grind, right?
Yes. You will still need to take that journey.
Exactly.
Which I think makes sense, because but I was trying to look at it, making it easier, because I think clarity in a sense, if the goal is clear in your head and the plans that you need to take, you have that clarity. I was looking at it from that point. Let us even use your example, IT professional. So at 15, if you knew that is what you wanted, I'm thinking at 15, and I remember from another episode you said, by the time you're getting to campus, the only exposure you had in as far as computers was concerned, it's like 2-3 instances only.
Spoilers.
Okay, by then you guys can go back to that video. We'll just leave a link
that's
here.
True.
So I'm trying to think, if for example at 15 years you're like, okay, by the time I'm getting to campus at 18, 19 there, I know this is what I want to do, IT. So right now at 15, what can I do? Is there maybe like a friend that has a computer that I can be, going to their place like every other day? Can I ask my folks, hey, you guys, this is what I want to do in like 4-5 years from now. Can you guys just chip in some moolah and then buy me a PC so that I start just
as early as possible.
Yes, my exposure in exposing myself to computers and things, so that I gain that. I start at least
exactly familiarizing myself,
so that by the time I'm getting to campus, it might be sort of an easier ride compared to someone who is now getting to campus and it's the first time
I get what you're trying to say.
So
that, probably.
And it goes back to that point that you're saying. that person at 45, if at that time, that is when they are deciding, okay, as compared to when they were 15 years old. So that aspect of, I think, time, I don't know if maybe.
It also plays a role, partly. It does play a role, right? That time, consideration on time.
Yes.
Actually, the reason that you might need to do some goal setting is because you have this limited resource that is time.
Yes.
Otherwise, tungefanya tu whatever we need to do na life isonge. Bora ujipate huko at some point, right?
True. And speaking of time, so when should we set goals?
When?
Yes.
Very good question. Okay, first of all, we have defined goals, right? And with that broad definition, it means automatically that there could be goals for anything.
Okay.
That I can set my goal for when I'm 75 years, then I can also set my goal for
so that is long term
morning when I up until when I brush my teeth, right?
Okay.
So exactly what you've mentioned, that there's long term goals, there's short term goals, there's specific goals to a certain endeavor. Let me say endeavor, because again, life is very fluid. You are Givenchy who has family, who has friends, who has so you can have goals for any of that. Representation, right?
True.
Let me just say representation.
True.
Because as Givenchy, you do a lot of things, right? Utatoka hapo uende wapi, and right? So for me, anytime you identify that there is something you will need, okay, there's want, then there's need, that there's something you will need. I believe you should set a goal for it. I don't know.
I think it makes sense because like you're saying, you can sit here and say there's this long-term goal that I have for, let's say, 55 when I retire, or even 75, so yes,
ushaona 55 una retire.
Actually even thinking earlier than that, but anyway, but ni sawa, acha niache kwa maybe niko ambitious, but anyway, so maybe 55 and then maybe like you're saying even 75, and then so yes, they are the long term goals, and then kuna hizo sasa short naweza sema medium term goals, so maybe they are not like serious hivyo kama you 55 sini like number of years from now.
Well,
like kupatia watu
unatu age. Oh my god.
And then kuna medium term.
Unasema sio fancy but ni vijana bado.
By the way, ni mbali sawa. 55, that is too far for us by the way.
Okay.
But yeah, you get the point. Kuna hizo long term and then there are, medium term and then short term. So yeah, and like you're saying, kuna hata zenye you'll say, okay, this is a goal for tomorrow. It's like a one day goal, like that is that
I will say I want to brush my teeth tomorrow at 7:45 a.m.
Yeah.
What do I need to do to ensure that happens? First of all, ensure kuna maji. Kama hakuna maji, kuwa na backup plan. So nitaangalia mfereji, maji iko check. Kama hakuna, weka maji kwa glass, store it somewhere in preparation, right? Confirm niko na Colgate. Do I have a toothbrush? Yes. Think in a block, right? I think
so all those are like
yes. Hiyo saa ni as you're doing your goal setting, now you're
looking at all the variables that might in one way or another affect
exactly the results to that goal.
So most people, I think, especially now as we are in December, almost crossing to another year, most people, this is the time that they are thinking about setting goals and things like that. New Year's resolutions, but I believe you're not most people.
I'm not most people, but well, unafaa tukisema most people unafaa uitike yes me.
I am part of most people.
You are most people. Wachana part.
But yeah, and I'm sure even you guys, if you're you're most people like me. Please, just tell us there down there whether this is the time that you're trying to work on your, New Year's goals and things like that. But yes, I think why most people do that is because it's easier, because you're like, okay, I'm done with that year. This is another year.
So, okay, I'm interested to also find out. Did it come naturally to you? Because let me tell you, for the longest time, for me, I not even for the longest time, I never used to do New Year's resolutions.
Really?
Yeah. New Year's resolution is something I had once I was done with high school.
What?
There's a time my sister just comes and asks me, so what are you planning for next year? And I'm like, what? Kwani napanga?
Hey, by the way, this sister, you need to fact check this guy.
No, it's very true, by the way. I don't want to mention any names.
Do not mention, but your sister anajijua able to confirm me.
And they were like, yeah, you do not do resolutions. And I'm like, what? Resolutions again? It's not...
So, okay.
Now, my question to you is, when did you start generating resolutions?
I think...
Specifically New Year's resolutions, not just...
Okay, I think this one I can't tell you what it is. This particular year that I started doing that. Plus, if I'm being completely honest, okay, anyway, I think ni kitu tu nimejipata nikifanya, because it's New Year's and then people are talking, there's this buzz, New Year's resolutions, New Year's everyone is talking about that. So you'll just find yourself doing it. You can't remember like, okay, so when did I start like doing it? But I think it's not just kitu like people are doing. Like we're saying, most people, because most people are talking about it, they are doing it. You just sort of like, it's the bandwagon effect. You just join the herd and then you start doing it like that.
Now for me, I have that feeling, bandwagon, I'm joining the herd. And I haven't taken it positively ever since. Because I'm like, this isn't something I was doing. So I want to ask.
But you must have been very self-aware, Basi. From a very early age. No. To not fall for that, just join the bandwagon and just flow with what most people do.
No, what? Let me ask you. Okay, thank you. Ask. I don't know if that's a compliment or a diss, but thank you. When is your earliest memory of making a New Year's resolution?
I don't know. Maybe I think after high school.
Oh no, but that's almost the same timeline though. After high school?
Yeah.
Were you making any New Year's resolutions while in school? That, okay, Form 1...
No, because in school, you don't even have any goals. You're just thinking, I want to finish school and things like that. So when you get to the real world is when you have like to set real goals. Okay, sawa. Career, family, finances, things like that. But in school, it's just finish school. So it's just...
So me, I have memories of now doing, just as you've mentioned, career, finances,
Really?
I have memories of that.
What?
But I remember specifically, I'm being asked, okay, in my mind, I'm like, I've already set my goals, right?
Yeah.
That this is what I want to be.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do. This is how I want to live my life.
Yeah.
Then now I need to have, okay, we are in a new year. Now you need to, I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I get you. And that's why I'm saying you must have been very self-aware to not just be, kupata your pressure and then just join the bandwagon of people who are just doing New Year's resolutions in January. Because, okay, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm assuming even the viewers are most people that they set their goals in January. Like maybe I do. But, so maybe if I'm wrong, please just...
Yes. Share in the comments. Share kindly. Opinions in the comments.
But I think that is what I think that most people actually do it in New Year's. I don't know whether it's because of the buzz around New Year's and things like that. It's
the buzz. I know partly, highly. Yes. Okay, I don't know. We don't have the data for that.
We invite you to just share your comments. But yes, when it comes to when, I think it's start of the new year. But there's a friend I had, and for her, she wasn't like doing New Year's resolutions. So what she did was, so her birthday is in June. She's like, okay, so every birthday, on her birthday, she'd just like sit down and be like, okay, that year has passed. Like these are the things that I wanted to do. Have I actually done them? Okay, so for the next 1 year, up until my next birthday, these are the things that I want to do. Like, so for her, like, her birthday was like the time to like do a review or an assessment of all the things, and then set new goals and things like that, which, you know, I actually found it to be different, because like we're saying, like we are assuming most people do it on New Year's. But yeah, so yes, it can be New Year's, can be on your birthday, can be, like he rightly pointed out, depending on the kind of goals that you're setting. You could even be setting goals every single day or every single month. At the end of the month, for example, if they are financial, at the end of the month, I'm like, okay, this is the much that I spent, things like that. I'm a quarterly, half yearly, annually, every 5 years and things like that. So it's you know, dependent on the kind of goals that you're setting. And
dependent on the kind of goals. I think you've mentioned time. I think it also depends on the person, because for you, as you've mentioned, you're comfortable with doing every beginning of the year, and your friend was comfortable with doing at the
June.
Beginning of her birthday.
Every
birthday,
every birthday.
Every birthday.
Yeah.
Then for me, I'm like, mi bora tulisha pangana 2019 saini kuzoza.
But yeah, anyway, so I think that is it when it comes to time. But you guys can also share your thoughts in as far as that is concerned. So before you even get to how do you actually set these goals, you as you're setting your goals, do you like have, you know, separate categories? So there's, you know, like kuna goals umeziweka separate na zingine umezicategorize. Kuna goals when it comes to this setting, kuna hizi goals za
the short answer is yes. That because of the I think I also mentioned it slightly, because of the complexity of life. It's not just as easy as saying that my goal is to become a billionaire. You'll find that just that by the fact that you've mentioned you want to become a billionaire, there are some other goals that will be probably will hop onto that specific goal, right? That because I want to become a billionaire, now I have a goal of rubbing shoulders with probably billionaires as well. Or now I have a goal of finding the financial instruments to get me to $1 billion, right?
Okay.
So for me, I will have just as you've mentioned that we have categories. So I'll have financial goals, I'll have relationship goals, I'll have life goals. I don't want to I'm trying to share some categories without opening up. But yes, I do have goals that I will say, okay, and sometimes okay, the way I also operate is that I will realize as I am operating that, hey, I have a shortcoming somewhere, or I'm falling short in some area. So now I'll also say, okay, this is an opportunity for me to grow in that area. So I will also have a goal. I'm not with those mentioned. Some of them I will write them down, or I will have them somewhere. I'll have them recorded somewhere. But some of them will be slightly mental, that I'll say that, okay, now that I know that I am short in this area, I have a goal of becoming better, right?
Okay.
So that at least in that area I'm improved or something of that sort. And I will say, okay, my aim now is to improve. Probably let me take a simple example. I've realized I'm not funny when interacting with crowds. So I'll be like, okay. No, that's just a basic example.
Okay.
So now my goal is to be funny in front of crowds.
I'm actually laughing. They're saying you're not funny. Like, that was really funny.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I will have a goal
Okay.
of at least being funny in
Mhm.
front of crowds.
Okay.
But that's just an example that's out of as in out of the blues, right?
Okay.
So I will have yes. So your answer is yes. I will have categories,
Mhm.
but I will get them to whatever level I need to for me to operate.
Ah.
I don't know what about you?
Yes, I agree. I think you need to have categories for each nini. So for example, I have maybe career goals. Maybe in the next 5-10 years, I would like to be the CFO of maybe a regional company, or
Safaricom.
Yeah.
Wanafaa watch
yeah,
out, eh?
yeah. So I
Okay.
don't know who the CFO of Safaricom is, but probably you guys would just watch out.
out.
Yeah.
Watch out.
The
Hiyo
next
kiti.
10 years hivi.
Hiyo kiti.
Yeah.
Iko na jina ya mtu mwingine.
Yeah. So
Angalia hapa kando ulikuwa ushaandika.
kuna jina hapo. So yeah, I think that would be an example of a career goal, long-term career goal. But I think even with that, like you're saying, you'll realize that even that goal, kuna like some other goals that are
It
sort of
will
like
attract
yes,
a lot, right?
yeah. And still, I think even if I know like in 10 years I would like to be a CFO, there are like maybe some steps that I need to start, working on right now. So for example, in like the next maybe 3-4 years, maybe I need to be finance manager somewhere. So yeah, like
It needs to evolve or advance.
yes.
It needs to be progressive.
Exactly. So it's progressing to that eventual goal that I want to get to at the end there. So yes, that is an example of a career goal. There are family goals. So for example, in the next maybe 2, 3, 4 years, 5 years, I would love to have a family of my own. Maybe have some some
Some
kids,
to OG juniors.
to OG juniors just running around. Yeah, example of a family goal.
Na kuna goal fulani ya gym yenye umeng'ang'ana.
Okay, yeah,
umeng'ang'ania
physical
hata ukiwa na chance ya kuiweka kwa episode bado tu.
Last time uliniingilia sana nikasema acha niachane nayo. Overuse, nimeitumia sana. So
It's fine.
so yeah, kuna goals za just that, I think that would be like a physical goal, like
Physical,
just keeping
that,
fit.
true.
So which means go to the gym, maybe watch what I eat, and things like that. So yes, you need to have those categories, because I think if you look at them, like the career goal, like what that goal will demand is
different from
yes,
what a physical goal or what
even family goal will,
or a relationship goal
exactly
will require.
Yeah, so if you just like categorize them, it becomes easier to even tackle them. I'm glad you say that you write them down, but you say there are others that are just mental. For me, I would really recommend writing them down.
Even when I said I write them down, I don't see na kitabu, my friend. I've texted them somewhere. Ziko kwa cloud mahali.
But at
Microsoft
but at least
me.
as in there's like a physical, there's a
You do not know how much I do not like writing.
when we know you're an IT guru. Sawa, ziko kwa cloud mahali zimehang. Si hata tuandike kwa vitabu, sisi tumeandika. But I think that is way smarter, because like those goals are there. So for example, me, if mine are just written down somewhere in a notebook, let's say I misplaced that notebook,
Chapwe namba 9 kutoka hapa
No.
nje.
But so for you, it's actually like, yeah. By the way, personally, I write mine
But
down.
zote ziko na flaws zao, because for me someone can just hack that account alafu
Okay.
ama Microsoft will go bankrupt. Okay, I'm not hoping anything like that happens. But right, you see, as in all of them have their own advantages and disadvantages.
Yeah. Yeah, but for me, I would really advise people to just write them down. Could be like, just electronically, in a book and things like that. Hiyo yako ya mental siko sure ni goals gani hizo ziko to at the back of your mind zenye like you feel you don't necessarily need to like keep a record.
I will give you an example. I'll give you an example. I think call back to one of our episodes. I think we mentioned that for me, I'm trying to recall what I mentioned. But I remember more what you mentioned, that in relationships you need to be more not self-aware but more attentive, right?
Yeah.
You realized that you needed to be more attentive.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, true.
That's partly what you mentioned.
Yeah.
Not in that's not exactly what you mentioned, but it summarized to that, right?
True.
That you need to be more attentive in relationships. I would like to think that you did not write somewhere that I need to be more attentive.
Okay.
But you decided.
That is a good example. Hiyo umeniweza sawa hiyo.
But you decided.
Umeirudia umeinini vizuri sana. Nilikuwa nataka kusikia ni goals gani hizi.
No, but unaona, just because you haven't written them down, but there's that effort that you put. You've realized, I need to do something here. That's a goal in itself, whether you like it or not. And I think that is also something that goes undermentioned. I think it's probably undermentioned that you will realize that you're swayed towards some behaviors because you made a decision to probably improve or get better at something. And eventually you realize that you've gotten to a point where you've done the right. I think
because actually I didn't until like write it down. When I realized that, I didn't actually go to my notebook and like, okay, I need to be more attentive. I need to listen more and things like that. I didn't do that, but I took like very, very intentional steps, and just tried to be so by the way, that makes sense. That is umejibu hiyo swali vizuri sana. So actually, even at the start of the episode, there's something that you said that deciding on these steps that you need to take, which is implying that this whole process of goal setting and deciding what to do has to be very intentional.
It has to be intentional.
Is it possible to just decide not to ama kuenda tu hivyo bila hata ku...
It is. Fortunately or unfortunately, how can you explain you being getting from age 1 to 15?
You know, my parents had goals for me. They were like directing my every manipulating the puppet masters are just like, okay.
But you see, right? Even, okay, sawa. Tutoe wazazi from the picture. You're 18, you are your own responsible self. Unaona, there are some people who will still survive in the confines of the law, that as long as it's not illegal and as long as blah 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 blah. So labda now the puppet master is the law of the land, or now the government, if I can say, if I can point a finger. So now those are the puppet master. Unaona huo mtu tu ata from 18 atazeeka tu.
True.
So now I think the conversation you're trying to have is you do not need to just operate, I don't want to call it aimlessly, because we're all intellectual beings, and we have a lot of power in us because we are intellectual beings.
True.
Meaning I can my mind can help me create a sword, create a gun, not create, process or manufacture a gun or whatever. If your mind can help you do that, why not put it to serve you to get to what you want to become, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't set the goals, as we've mentioned, if you don't set objectives, let's just call them goals, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Itakuwa tu cooperate. I call it, let's call it autopilot. Autopilot throughout your life. 35 years, nothing to show for it, because you're like, mi unajua, after 19 mi niliingia tu shule, nikapata jobu, ndio hii na retire, sahi naendea pension, right?
Yeah,
as in
true.
Those are the conversations that we'll be having. True. And if you think about it, if no one sets goals and they just operate within the laws of the land, for example, Kenya now, that's the life you're looking at. That after high school, it's campus after campus, it's employment after employment. Now it's pension and live in your old age, right?
Yeah.
That's autopilot. I'm trying to stop guys from having things happen to them, and more
taking
or less
control and just
trying to being the one to make things happen, right?
That actually makes a lot of sense. Just being in control and deciding, and again, like, because we say it's a goal, as in that is where I want to be, that is the person that I would love to, I want to become. So I think being intentional, then you're able like to take the necessary steps that will get you there. Because if you're not intentional, then the steps that you're just taking, while you're on autopilot, they'll be taking you like
takuwa tu zero grazing, utashinda hapo, then unashanga mbona what, right?
Makes sense. So there's this acronym, and I'm sure even guys, as you're setting your goals for the, even if they're personal, family or corporate goals, this acronym that people like throwing around, SMART, So S is for, the goals need to be specific. So like I'm saying, okay, I want to be the CFO of a regional company, or rather a company that has a regional presence within the next 10 years. So I think that is quite specific. Like, I'm giving myself a timeline of 10 years. That is the position that I want to be at. Or rather, if I take the physical one, I want to lose 20 kgs by June of next year. So it's quite specific. Like, you want to lose weight. How much is
how
it?
much of weight do you want to
are we
lose?
talking about? Because you just can't say I want to lose weight, as in you can even lose like 0.5 kg. So
you've lost weight.
You've lost weight. But you see, like, when you have that sort of like that number, you're specific about the number, then when you lose like 5, you're like, okay, I think it also helps with monitoring and just
actually, I think
reviewing and evaluating and things like that. So yes, specific, and then M stands for measurable. So again, if I didn't say I want to lose 20 kgs,
you want to lose weight.
I just want to lose weight.
Unaweza jiweka the last day of May so that June
you just lost like and then you're like, okay, sure. So it's coffee to me achieve. So I think and again, even going back to kuna yenye sisi tunasemanga ya the sport, we like saying we want to get to 100 episodes. So like there's that number. I know. So there's that number we have in mind. And then so once we get to 22, 25, we're like, okay, we are quarter of the way there. Once we get to 50, we're like, halfway there. So it's easier to even for you. And then I think A stands for, is it achievable? Attainable, yeah. So of course, I think this goes to, is it really, makes sense? Like, do you think I can actually lose like maybe 20 kgs by
June
next year? Is that goal attainable?
Yes, it is. And I think probably when you're doing a goal setting, that is what you need. It's a self-assessment thing that you will need to do. That as Haron, if I'm saying I need to probably let's take a different goal. I want to learn history of Kenya. I want to learn the entire history of Kenya by, again, let's say June next year. I can say that yes, if you look at it, it matches all the two acronyms we've already mentioned that it's specific and it's measurable. Tumesema by June. But for me, is it attainable? The answer is no. I hate history. So now it becomes very specific to you. That probably for you, you're saying that you want to lose the 7 kgs, like in your body mass or whatever your doctors have mentioned to you, just tell you that, okay, the way your physical works is different. Again, with the example that I've just shared, I hate history. June is such a short timeline. Give me 3 years to learn the history, right? So when you're looking at attainability, now you need to do that self-assessment and just say, okay, let me be realistic, so that when it gets to that point where we've gotten to the timeline where we said we needed to have achieved whatever goal we needed to achieve, you do not get disappointed, or now you do not get right.
There's actually another example that you gave, which is, I want to be a billionaire. So let's say I want to be a billionaire
because
by June of next year.
Nitakuruka nikucheke sahi, alafu next year nasikia now to the newest billionaire na ni OG. Alafu nakuomba mado hapo unaninyima June nikucheke.
Ulisema aje wewe nikikwambia hiyo goal? Ulisema iwezekani. So kuota na ota. So sahi ni mimi.
That's the exact reason I didn't want to say anything about that goal. Wacha tu ninyamaze.
So yeah, I think you're the one that you've given makes sense. You're learning a particular discipline within
a specific time period.
So that is A, and then there is R. R is for realistic. So again, I think even that history example that you've given sort of like covers that.
It actually overlaps that you can mention. It could be attainable, realistic. So attainability, actually, now that you've mentioned it, makes sense. That attainable it could be, but is it realistic for me? The answer is no. So we need to revise a couple of the parameters to make it more of my goal. Otherwise, it's someone else's goal. Because again, if you look at that example, a billionaire, probably for you, it's not your goal, but it's someone else's goal who is probably even right on track. They're on their way to making that be, right?
And then the last one is T, which is time bound. So
unfortunately, all the goals we've been mentioning have been
all of them.
time-bound.
Even I think at the start of the episode we sort of like mentioned something like that we are all racing against time. Yes,
which is a limited resource.
So I think if you use that, even as you for most of us who are like sort of like doing our goal setting right now, I think that is something you can use the SMART and make sure that those goals actually make sense. But I think also something else, you even as you're setting your goals, you need to be very clear with the goals. So if I just go back to the example of me becoming CFO, by the way, you guys, you can notice, I think you've noticed that I mentioned your kitu for like 10 times now, because it's like a very serious goal.
This is a very serious goal, eh? What?
So you need to be very clear. So that, I think for me, I don't know if you think the same. It's a very clear goal. 10 years CFO of a company that has a regional presence. So I think it's precise, it's clear. There's no you're 50-50 about what that means. There's clarity when it comes to that goal. Even if someone else finds that notebook and reads that goal, they'll be like, I think this goal actually makes sense. Even if they actually adopted that as their goal, Nikitu hakuna ati confusion yoyote.
Right.
So yeah, I think that is one way that, as you're doing your goals, your goal setting, just be very precise, and just make sure there's clarity. I don't know whether there's, as you are coming up with your goals, there's something that you actually consider. You're like, okay.
I think for me, even, and I know probably mentioning this would lead to an extension of the episode, but the goals are meaningless without, one, the intent, and two, the planning for the same. Because as you've mentioned, just writing down that I am CFO, I will be CFO in 10 years of a regionally present corporation or organization, is nothing if you have no intention of keeping that,
true,
right?
True.
Number one.
Yeah.
Then it's also nothing, or you will not attain that goal if you do not plan accordingly to get to that, right?
Yeah.
So even as you're saying that I need to be CFO in 10 years, you need to now arrange the blocks in place that will lead you to be a CFO of that regional corporation.
Yeah.
That's why I think earlier I was mentioning blah, 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 the ABCDs.
Yeah.
I think that's now a different episode.
Yeah.
But for now, it's just important. I know that I'm saying that without those other mentions, this is meaningless, but it's more meaningless to lack it altogether than right.
True.
So heriata tu kwe nayo in the first place, then tuongele we talk about these other things that now need to be interconnected to this for us to move forward, right? Yeah,
it actually makes sense. And from what you're saying, or what I'm getting is that me being CFO in 10 years, that is like the long-term goal, but underneath this long-term goal, there needs to be specific steps that will help you get to that. So it's like you're breaking that goal into like smaller.
You're making it palatable.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
As in action points.
Yes.
What does that mean for you on a day-to-day basis? Or now that will determine your New Year's resolution, because now I would assume that for you, because you have longer term goals, your New Year's resolutions will be like subsets that will fill into your longer term goals, right? That's what I'm assuming.
Yes,
exactly. And whatever decisions you're making now are feeding into that
the
CFO that you're trying to become.
The long-term goal, which makes sense. So the long-term goal, and then the sort of like the building blocks, some of the the channels that are feeding to this long-term goal. And then I think you can even just break them down to a point where, like you're saying, maybe even to the day-to-day, because I'm like, okay, if I want to be a CFO in 10 years, like I can't just be going to the office, late. I can't be, just carrying myself, evo.
I cannot be CFO without just having the awareness, the regional awareness.
Yeah.
I need to know what's happening in Tanzania today,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
I can't be CFO without that information. As in, for you to be CFO, you need to act the part, right?
So that goal, actually having that goal, it at the end of it all, it will end up influencing even like
in quotes. In quotes, it will dictate exactly
even your day, how you carry yourself on a day to day, how you things like that. So which again, like you're saying, points to the importance of having that goal, because if you don't have that sort of like the vision, that is where I want to be,
then everything else down here isn't
working. And I think because naweza yeka kama long term goal is step 1, step 2 is just the building blocks and breaking it down, and then I think the third would be sort of like reviewing, because again 1 year from now, see, that was like a 10-year goal. 1 year later,
minus 1 years to the 10 years that you mentioned.
I think it's important to just sit down and you're like, okay, where am I in relation to that goal? Is this where I had projected to be 1 year into this journey? So I think maybe just stopping to taking a pause, reviewing where you are, monitoring, and just taking stock of your current
status towards that specific
goal would really just help.
Makes a lot of sense.
I want to ask you, with that said, do you do that? How often do you do that? How often would you like advise someone to like do that? Like, just that review, monitoring, and just assessing where someone is in as far as maybe even the long-term goals are concerned.
It's highly dependent on the specific goal you've set, because I'm thinking of if now I set that goal for 75, it might not be as easy for me to do a day-to-day assessment or a check on how I'm faring towards the 75. But probably like after 3 or 5 years, I can be doing the checks. So it's highly dependent. There are some specific goals. Like, for example, if we said now, it's very dependent on whatever goal you've set. If we said now that, again, tuangalie hiyo example ya history yenye tulisema, that I want to become well-versed with the history of Kenya by June next year. By the end of the month, I can be assessing myself and say, okay, how much do I know now? How much do I need to know? Okay, I've covered the various Nilotes, Kushites, and whatever Bantus, the groups. I've covered the various groups. I might need to now go deeper to figuring out who are the Nilotes and all that. So a month-on-month assessment would be worthy or would be sensible. So I think now it's dependent on whatever goal you've set. For me, I will do that at any point because I know that for most of my goals, it's a number of goals. Probably like the ones that I've set on the cloud are probably like 10 or 15. Then now I have my operational goals that, hey, I need to improve because I know they fit into the 15, goals, right? So easy zitakuwa assessments that once I realize there's some shortcoming, need to do something there, right? But for easy za huku juu, I'm like, okay, niko happy sasa. Then that's enough for me. I don't know how.
Makes sense. At the point of once you realize there's some shortcomings, then there's maybe something that you need to recalibrate. But I think the other thing about even just doing that assessment is sometimes you may realize, okay, maybe the ile time nilikuwa nimejipatia ile goal major
ilikuwa ndefu sana.
Ilikuwa ndefu
sana. Getting closer, very close. I need to even adjust my
So I think the assessment would actually help even with just adjusting some of the maybe the time frames that you've given the goals and things like that. So I think we've covered
we've just covered goal setting at
and I had a feeling by the
ni foreshadowing yako ndio imetuweka huku. But
it's okay. We still have like so many other episodes.
We have so many other episodes. I would propose that we look at. I don't know if you can look at achievement as its own subject.
We can.
Then also just loaded in my mind. We can also. This one we'll talk about it outside of the episode. Tutarudi jikoni kidogo and have a conversation on the same.
It's okay.
But I think for today that's it from us. Unless there's
you can by there you can just share your your feedback, your comments down there in the comment section. Tell us what you think about today's show. If you really enjoyed it, please leave a like. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you liked it so much, you can also just share it with
share this video.
Share it with the friends and family that maybe you would also like them to even as we're going into the New Year's, just help them a bit with material that might inaweza wasaidia in terms of goal setting. So
and it's not just this episode.
Yes.
Now I think we have a library. Yes. Now we're on the map kidogo. 20 episodes 20. Is not a joke. It's actually 21 to be specific. 21 episodes of trying to make ourselves better people.
True.
So guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for hanging out. If you've made it this far, it's mandatory. If you've made it this far, just like, share, subscribe. Full stop. Hakuna hapo, there's no debate. Au wengine ndio labda tunaweza anza kwa
wengine tunaweza lakini
nyinyi wengine kazoze tuendelee, right?
True.
But now until next time, I think that's been it from us. So
Until next time.
Deuces, eh?